Hi, I'm Marc Accetta, and I'd like to welcome you to tonight's show. We've been doing The Power of One for a couple of months now, and I'm very happy to say we have thousands of people who become subscribers on iTunes. We also have thousands of people who become our fans on Facebook, so we're really excited about what's going on. But when we did the first show, we said at some point in the near future, we would explain the inspiration behind the show. So, on tonight's show, we are going to tell you the inspiration behind The Power of One. You know, music has always been a huge part of my life. From way back when I was in middle school and into high school, I've always been very inspired by songs, and in my case, really inspired by the lyrics of songs. I can tell you so many that have really moved me over the years and how it's played into my life. I remember the first time I heard The Hero in Me by Jeffrey Gaines. That's obviously not a super popular song, but if you know that song, or if you don't know it, you should go and listen to it, man. If you're at a place in your life where you need inspiration to make something happen in your life, The Hero in Me is certainly a song that can do that. I also remember when I was in high school and I had asked my first girlfriend to go steady, Eileen, and she said no, she saw me more as a friend. So needless to say, as I was walking back to my car, I was a little depressed, and she was a lifeguard. So I was walking from where she was, in her lifeguard stand back to my car, and it was sort of in a beachy area. And blasting out one of the summer beach homes, someone was playing You Can't Always Get What You Want by the Rolling Stones. So you can see that music has been a prominent part of my life, and it's really funny. I'm sure we all have situations like that we can relate to. Now, obviously, the motivation for this show was the song The Power of One by Israel Houghton. And I'll never forget the first time I heard it. I was in church, it was about a year ago, and I was in a state, I was sitting there and I was in a worship mode, and I was sort of looking for a word, if you will. I was looking for a source of inspiration from the pastor who was going to be speaking that day. But as many of us know, a lot of times the word that we're waiting for comes in a different direction because God sometimes has a sense of humor. So instead of getting my word from the pulpit that day, I got it from the song, from the singer, and he started singing the words of this song. What if it was up to me to start a revolution? What if my only responsibility was to start a revolution? And those words just hit me really hard. Now, I know some of you get turned off by the word revolution. Don't do that, okay? I'm not talking about bloody revolutions, although some revolutions need to be bloody. If you go back to Scotland's history, we all saw Braveheart. We know William Wallace. That's a true story. If he wasn't willing to lead people into a bloody revolution, where would Scotland be today? But in general, I'm talking more of a revolution that can rid the world of hunger. Obviously we have terms in our society like the Industrial Revolution, the internet revolution. So revolutions can have many, many, many different ways that they can come at us. But the point is, what if it was up to us? What if it was up to me or you specifically to start a revolution? And so many of us have dreams in our hearts and brilliant ideas in our head, but we feel too inadequate. We don't feel as if we're good enough. We're going through life, and for whatever reason, we haven't made enough money or we haven't had a lot of success. I don't know if you realize this, but most of the things we attempt in our life, or at least 50% of the things we attempt in our life, we're going to fail at. So if you sit there and all you do is dwell on your failures, then yeah, you're not going to have very good self-esteem. You're not going to believe in yourself, and you're not going to go anywhere. And even when you have a brilliant idea or a brilliant dream, you're not going to follow up on it. So that's my whole point here, guys. Forget all that garbage. A lot of the people who started the greatest movements in the world were far from perfect. Martin Luther King, who has had more of an impact on this country than Martin Luther King, but if you look at his personal life, he certainly had a few areas there where he was not perfect, but he didn't let that stop him from starting a literal revolution in this country that wiped out so many hundreds of years of oppression that were terrible and horrible. And he had the guts, he had the courage of his convictions. Those are his actual words. And it's really funny. I was chatting with my brother earlier today, who's a very successful businessman, just successful in every aspect of life. And he was saying something that really hit me. He goes, how many people really have the courage of their convictions? A lot of people have convictions, but when it comes to the courage of their convictions, to say what they really mean, well, I don't know. I better be politically correct. I don't want to say anything that's going to upset somebody. Just think about this. How are you going to start a revolution without upsetting somebody. I mean, by the very nature of a revolution, you're turning things upside down. You're going to upset somebody. You know, so many of us are so focused on not making any waves. And you know what? You got to get rid of that, man. If you want to do something spectacular, then you've got to go out there and do things. They're going to, you know, make some waves. They're going to upset some people. They're going to turn some things over. But if you know in your heart of hearts that you're doing the right thing, there's nothing wrong with that. See, what if it was up to me to start a revolution? And the song goes on to say, let it start with me. See, that's another thing. Let it start with me. So many of the rest of us want somebody else to get it started. But you know what? That's not the deal. The deal is we need to get it started. A lot of other people will jump on a bandwagon if there's a bandwagon to jump on. But you see, that's the problem with the world. We need to have the courage of our convictions to start the revolution. And then a lot of other people will follow along once we've started it. You see, as the song says, it all begins with one. The power of one, the power of hundreds of millions of people believing as one. See, that's the real power, to have hundreds of millions of people believing as one. But that all starts with a William Wallace who had the courage to go out there and do what he knew was right. It all starts with Martin Luther King, who had the courage to do what he knew in his heart was right. It all starts with Walt Disney, who had a dream that was big enough to inspire hundreds of millions of people to believe as he believed. You see, most of us won't do that because we're afraid we may be wrong. You know, I think it's Martin Luther King who said, if you have a dream and you keep it to yourself, it will remain a dream. But if you have a dream and you share it with others, it'll become a reality. But you have to have the courage to share that dream with other people, knowing other people are going to be against it, knowing some people are going to make fun of it. And that's what we need, folks. We need more visionaries to step up and believe and to lead the way, because there are many revolutions that we need to have in the world that we live in today. But probably my favorite part of the song is the next part where he says, don't hang around, stand up or sit down. And he says it very firmly, just like that. And you see, that's what it's all about. This song's about caring about people, wiping out poverty and all that stuff. So it's very caring and loving, but in the same regard, every caring and loving movement needs people that know where they're going and aren't going to mess around. Don't hang around, stand up or sit down. I don't care if you sit down. The Bible says be hot or be cold, but if you're lukewarm, I'm going to spit you out. You can't start a revolution being lukewarm. You can't start a revolution hanging around. You've got to stand up. And when you stand up, understand you may be ridiculed. You may have people make fun of you. I've had people make fun of me my whole life. So what? The reality is you have to believe, because that's the last part. Okay? You need to stand up or sit down and believe. What a powerful word, that we can change the world together. See, once again, it's the power of one, but one person will accomplish nothing. One person who starts leading millions or hundreds of millions of people can do anything. And the very, very last line of the song simply says, again, what if it was up to me to start a revolution? So that's what I leave you with tonight, folks. That song inspired me. And by the way, go and buy it. It's a great song. I don't make a commission on you buying it, but it really is a great song. It has a powerful message. Israel Houghton. You can buy it in a record store. You can buy it on iTunes. You can buy it wherever you, Amazon, wherever you feel like getting it. But it really is the type of song, and not just this song. Go out and buy other songs that have meaning in them. You know, I know some of you, when you listen to a song, you just hear the beat, and that's fine. But for those of you that hear the lyric, you know, I mean, get the lyrics that make sense. Get the lyrics that inspire you. And music's not the only thing that inspires me, but obviously in this case, it inspired me enough to start a show and to come up and do all this research to find out about all these people who've had a major impact on people's lives. So I want to finish by sharing again that I am so honored that so many people have gone ahead and subscribed to the show. I ask you to continue to spread the word. My objective in life is to touch as many people's lives as possible and to convince as many people as possible that they are the ones who can do something mighty. They are the ones who can start a revolution. So we appreciate you viewing tonight. Hopefully this message really resonates with you, and we'll see you next week on The Power of One.